we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's happening? I thought that I would just check in and say hi, and hope you guys can hear me okay. What's up on Instagram? My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins, and I was sitting here and I was working through some stuff, and really going through a lot of investment analysis and looking through stocks and stock options, stuff like that, which I really encourage you to do. Like, I encourage you. If you Joe Biden said if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black or whatever. Well, I say that if you ain't planning for your future, then you ain't black. If you ain't taking care of your family, then you ain't black. If you ain't handling your business, then you ain't black. So handle your business, man. Handle your business because the world done lost its motherfucking mind. I mean, there's so much chaos going on in the world. Things are being burned down, busted up, torn apart. White folks are fighting like crazy. I mean, right now, white people are in like a civil war, like a legit civil war. It could escalate at any moment. All it takes is for one person to decide to do something real crazy, kill some cops. Actually, cops have been shot, if I'm not mistaken. I think a cop was shot in the head, or a suicide bomber or something like that. And I'm just going to tell you straight up, man, back up, because I think it's going to get real very soon, because what you are is you're in the middle of an age-old battle, something that happened long before black folks became even a topic of conversation, and I think that you're just dealing with something where there's going to be even more chaos and destruction after a while. And this country's been on its last legs for a minute. This country, it showed during the coronavirus situation that it didn't know how to handle a state of emergency. It says you're pretty much on your own. If you want to know what I'm thinking, I've been looking into survivalist tactics in terms of thinking about, what does that really look like? What does survivalism really look like? That means having weapons. It means growing your own food. It means having that generator in the basement, and that's not really me. Like, I'm a college professor, so, we're all up in books and computers, but I'm really thinking hard about like what that's going to look like, because I don't feel my government can protect me. I really don't, or be there for us. But anyway, I wanted to let you guys know I see you in there. Okay, 2 cops shot in St. Louis. Yeah, I think I saw some about that. Survivalist lifestyle, Director Shadow. Yeah, I agree with you. Specifically Latin Kings in Little Village. Okay, I don't know anything about Latin. I'm gonna look it up, but I didn't hear anything about Latin Kings. Being out of Chicago, I'm definitely curious about that. So yeah, so if you want to know what tip I'm gonna be on, once I get back, we're down. Me and my family came to Florida because I got tired of sitting at home during all the pandemic. I know. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but I don't know if y'all saw NPR literally just said that basically, like, the infection and death rates were not nearly what they said they were. That the infection rates were actually much higher than what they were originally saying, and the death rate was much lower. So I don't know if you guys saw that or not. But I'm just gonna say I'm not a person who's into saying I told you so. But I'm gonna have to say I told you so, just because you can go back and look at videos I made 2-3 months ago where I said something's not adding up. And again, it went to that basic point. I said, if all these celebrities are announcing they have corona, if all these congressmen, I'm not a celebrity at all, but I've been on TV hundreds of times, and people know me. There's no city in the world I've been to where somebody didn't recognize me on the street. And what happens is that when you're in the public eye, you shake a lot of hands. You hug a lot of people. You're in a lot of people's space. So here was my logic. This is me. I'm a mathematician, so I'm adding 2. 2 plus 2 is always going to be 4 to me. It's not ever going to be 7, even if the Democratic Party says it is or the Republican Party says it's 14. I don't think that way. So I said, okay, if this virus really is as infectious and as deadly as people say, then we should have at least a couple of A-list celebrities dead this week. Congress people are old. They are celebrities. They all shake lots of hands. Well, not celebrities, but they're public figures, so they shake a lot of hands. So some of these old ass senators, congressmen, etc., Mitch McConnell, one of these old motherfuckers gonna be dead. Some Trump, Pence, one of them are gonna die, right? It has to. Like the odds of one of them not dying are like 1 in a billion. So I watched. I just sat back and I watched, and I said, "Ain't nobody dying." I said, "This ain't what they say it is." It's not saying nobody's dying, but they were inflating the numbers. It was propaganda. And now when you see what's happening with the whole riot situation, shit's starting to come together. These things are all connected in more ways than you can imagine. First of all, it's connected just from the fundamental fact that when you have economic despair or a pandemic, you're going to have civil unrest because inequality starts to be created due to the fact that you have an acceleration of the gap between the rich and the poor, right? So that, because if you look at this pandemic scenario, you had some people that were making big money. Jeff Bezos is $20 billion richer. You had a lot of people that were screwed, lost their damn job, homeless, getting evicted, all this, right? So that creates unrest, right? So then you have this trigger, which is the death of George Floyd, which didn't just sort of naturally spark, like it was already volatile because you have people frustrated from the pandemic scenario, but then you have the kerosene being thrown onto the fire, which is these leftist extremist groups, Antifa and the Democratic Socialists and the Communist Party. And I've seen that. I've been in their space. They've been ready. They've been ready. Anonymous, been ready. I'm talking about laid out military style, military minded strategy to basically tear down this country, right? To make sure that, and again, I'm not judging it. You can believe what you want to believe. You could be left, you could be right. I don't give a shit. I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm just black. I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm just black. I'm not voting for Biden or I'm not voting for Trump. I'm voting for black people. So don't if you're left, don't feel like I'm telling you that you're wrong. Be left. If you're right, then shit, be right. But I'm black, right? And to me, those are three separate things. Left, right, and black they do not overlap significantly in my mind, right? So when Biden says, "Well, if you can't vote for me, then you ain't black," I see that as a type of imperialism, a very territorial behavior, like a pimp pissing on his hoe. Like seriously, like he's peeing on you. He's peeing a circle around you, saying, "This bitch chose me. This is my hoe. Black people belong to me," right? And that makes me say, "Get off of me." Like, no, I'm rejecting you right now because nobody owns me, right? So really, if you want to know what I'm really seeing in all of this, I'm seeing what's something that's probably going to escalate. Trump's going to bring in that military. He's going to bring in, the active duty. He's going to bring in the reserves. He's going to bring the heat because that man, he went to military school when he was 19 years old. I read his whole bio because I like to understand my adversary. So I read the history of the Trump family going back 100 years, by the way, because I wanted to study black power. Like I wanted to study what it means to gain power. Call him what you want, but he's got power. I want to know how black people can have power like that too. So I study power. I love to understand power. So Trump is gonna come hard. Here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna come hard too. Because they've already crossed that line into the reign of physical violence. They're already assaulting cops, driving cars through crowds of people, running cops over, some of that. It's only another tiny step before they start bombing, before they start doing and this is not new. This is not something that's never been done. I mean, there are countries all around the world where groups that have an ideology they really believe in start blowing shit up. And so I just think you're in for it. I think this is just the beginning. I encourage black people to just figure out who the hell you are. You know what it reminds me of? It makes me think about the Vietnam War. In the Vietnam War, the Vietnamese were in a position similar to black people. The Vietnamese just wanted to be free. Ho Chi Minh initially was just like, look, let my people go. They've been controlled by the French for 100 years or whatever. And when World War II started, and the French were getting their ass kicked by the Germans, or sorry, not World War II, scratch that, World War I ended, and the world was kind of being realigned. See, during these realignments, that's when people make their power moves. You make your moves when the lights are out, when there's chaos, when there's a mass distraction. That's when everybody's making their moves. So you got to figure out, like, what are your moves going to be? Seriously, like, instead of sitting there shocked and reacting, you need to figure out what your move is going to be, what your agenda going to be. So Ho Chi Minh's agenda was, I'm going to liberate Vietnam. So he tried his best to liberate Vietnam during World War I by getting Woodrow Wilson to sign some proclamation or something to help him get that done. It didn't happen because somebody did not get Woodrow Wilson the information necessary to make that move. But Woodrow Wilson was a racist, by the way, which is another issue I have with Princeton, right? Princeton has to address the fact that their Woodrow Wilson School of Public Administration is built on, it might as well be called the KKK School of Diplomacy, just so you know, because Woodrow Wilson was a member of the Klan. But with that said, all the Vietnamese wanted was to be free. That's what they wanted. Well, the problem was that Ho Chi Minh, I believe, made a crucial mistake. In order to liberate from, the grips of the Americans and, our democracy, capitalism, whatever it is we believe, he aligned himself with the communists. He went left because the communists, were looking to integrate anybody into their system who was going to help them fight off the Americans and the capitalists and whatever, all the other shit that we believe. So Ho Chi Minh aligns himself with the communists, which initially seems like a great idea. Like, oh, look at this. We got all these weapons. We have all this intelligence. We have all these resources, right? Right? But here's the problem. When you get big allies, you get big enemies too. When you say, okay, I'm gonna go be a Crip because I want to be a Crip because the Crips can help me defend myself. Well, now you've declared war on the Bloods. Now their beef becomes your beef. Their bullshit becomes your bullshit. So you're gonna get pulled into age-old conflicts that have nothing to do with you. So you're fighting a bigger war and a bigger battle. So here's my point. Here's where I'm going with this. Black people, for our own survival, in many cases, have felt like, well, in order for us to succeed, we need our liberal allies, right? We need to align with the Democrats and the Democratic Socialists and the Bernie Sanderses and the Joe Bidens of the world. Well, when you do that, well, guess what? Now you're entering into a bigger battle that goes far beyond the scope of what you're trying to do. You end up like Vietnam, where literally Vietnam as a country was destroyed because the communists and the Americans, the communists and the capitalists, basically got together and started kicking each other's ass right there on Vietnamese soil. Hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese died. The entire country was absolutely decimated, and the Vietnamese were used up and shit on and abandoned at the end of the shit. When the stuff was over, the United States abandoned Vietnam, Saigon fell, and everything that they thought they could depend on, all the Vietnamese who aligned themselves with the Americans because the Americans said, we're going to protect you, we're your allies, they completely got abandoned. So for black people, your allies will abandon you. That's my point. Your allies will abandon you. Your allies are going to use you as long as they need to use you. They're going to bring a bunch of shit to your plate that you didn't ask for. And, when they're going out there and you're trying to peacefully protest and there's a white man randomly walking and busting out windows, and then he's throwing, and then they're laying out bricks and encouraging people to throw bricks through windows and burning down buildings and driving through, cars through crowds of cops. That shit's going to all fall on you. They're gonna go through the hoods with National Guardsmen and armored vehicles and tanks and machine guns, and black men gonna be the first ones getting their heads blown off, and these liberals ain't gonna be nowhere to be found. So what I really think at the end of the day is, I think we have to be strategic and be very clear about what we're down for, what we're not down for, what we represent, what we don't represent, what is our agenda and what is not our agenda. My agenda in general, if you want to know where I stand, because I have to think about this, because I got invited on to Anderson Cooper tonight, and I'm just kind of like, damn. I figured it might happen. I don't do mainstream media that much anymore because I don't like mainstream media. I don't like CNN anymore. I used to like CNN, but I don't like them anymore. I like them even less now than I did when they banned me for a year back in 2008 because I said something about Bill O'Reilly that they didn't like. Because those white folks all stick together, by the way. At the end of the day, it's like we will abandon we'll throw the Negro out to dry or whatever, which is fine. I don't care. But I don't know where to really sort of even want to be a part of any of this. I think Cornel West is great, but here's the problem. Here's the issue. Cornel's my friend. Love Cornel West, one of my best buddies. In terms of people that I just really, in terms of people I really vibe with, I love Cornel West. But here's the thing. Cornel West's agenda ain't my agenda. Cornel West is a democratic socialist. He's in that space. He's in that socialist communist space. I got a call from some people in the south side of Chicago, some white people, because they got these white allies. I don't have many white allies. My allies are black. My allies look like me. I don't trust allies that have other agendas. Maybe it's my trust issues. I don't know, but I personally think it's just from my experience and based on what I've concluded is the adequate solution for black people. So I got a call from these so-called allies. I've never told this story publicly, and I'm not going to in any way disparage Cornel West by sharing this story, but I have to share it because I think it's relevant to this situation. So they called me and they were like, yeah, Dr. West told us to give you a call because, we're going to go protest, the police shooting of so-and-so. And it was, I forgot which one. I think it was the time of Ferguson, right? All the stuff going on in Ferguson. So I said, okay, great. Yeah, Dr. West, I love Dr. West. I'll be there, And I showed up. And we went to this rally together to protest the killing of this black man, Michael Brown. That's what it was. It was Michael Brown. Now, here's the thing. When I was there, they started trying to recruit me for the Communist Party. And it was very aggressive. They were trying to get money from me. They were trying to get me to, suddenly I'm noticing everybody's calling each other comrade, and they're talking about we're going to destroy this capitalist system, and I'm just kind of like, I didn't come here for all of that. I came here because I don't think Mike Brown should have been killed by the cops. I came here for my brother. I did not come here for all this other shit that you're trying to lay on my plate. I didn't have any issue with him, but I politely told the man to fuck off. I said, don't call me anymore. Quit calling me, asking me for money and trying to get me involved in your stuff. I'm not interested. And so when I saw that up close and from what I have read, they have a long battle with each other. It's really the leftists versus the fascists. Right, which unfortunately is kind of weird because the leftists have become the fascists, in my opinion. They become very controlling. They use propaganda in ridiculous ways. They're very quick to attack and shame people who don't fit into whatever box they think you should fit into. Like for example, even with this stuff with Trump and all that, I know a lot. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I know a lot of people, black and white, who are not bad people, who have no problem with what Trump is doing. They have no problem with the Trump presidency because they hate the liberals so much. And the reason that they tell me the truth about what they think is because I'm not going to call you a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, or a coon because you're not a Democrat. I don't do that. I'm not a person who does that. So I just listen. I say, well, what's on your mind? Like, what makes you think that, right? So it might be somebody who says, I'm a Christian and I don't believe in abortion, so I'm never going to vote for the Democrats because I just don't believe that. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And the dumb motherfuckers are the ones who think that because you listen to that, oh, you're a Trump supporter. Well, if you think like that, then fuck you and the horse you rode in on, because your dumb ass is as much a Klansman as any white man who ever tried to control black people in his life. Black people have a right to be free. That's what you're fighting for, man. Keep it simple. You're fighting for freedom. You're not fighting to be a Democrat. You're not fighting to be a Republican. You're fighting to be free. And you're fighting also, I encourage you to fight for your sovereignty. Sovereignty means that when somebody comes through and says, well, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. First thing you need to do is give him both middle fingers and say, I will make the decision as to where I put my vote, and it might change based on the weather. I might be a Trumper in the next election if he comes up with something that I like. I might be a Biden guy in the next election. I might be independent, or I might just sit on the sidelines and withhold my vote until somebody earns my vote. That to me is power. That's power. You know, when you let people punk you into following their agenda just because they told you or whatever, just because that's where the crowd is going, I can't respect that. That's not something that I believe in. I believe that black people need the strong ones to take the lead. The sheep, fine. The sheep can go line up for slaughter, do whatever somebody else tells them to do. We need the talented 10th who are not afraid of truth, wherever it lies, to stand up and just say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You know, it's like when women declare the right to decide what happens with their bodies. You know, like one guy says, well, you need to have sex with me. And the other guy says, no, that's my woman. I'm a fucker. Well, she should stop and say, no, I'm going to have sex with whoever I want to sleep with. And neither one of y'all get to make that decision. I'm going to make that decision. You're not going to pressure me into making a decision that I don't want to make. And I think black people need to stop letting other people make those decisions for us, because here's what's happening. At the end of the day, everybody promises to make love to you. And at the end of the day, you end up fucked, but not in a good way. You end up getting raped. Every time you end up getting raped, and then you're like, oh, they raped me. That ain't right. That ain't right. The Democrats did me wrong. The Republicans, they did me wrong. Well, you did yourself wrong because you don't have any strength. You don't understand how the game is being played. You know, you don't understand where your real allies are. Your allies are not these people that are using you. Your allies are in your own community. Your allies are the people that will go to the fence with you, whether you're rich or poor, through sickness and in health, till death do you part. So these people that you claim as your allies, okay, keep on claiming those allies, and they're gonna keep screwing you the way your so-called allies have screwed you since the beginning of time. There's not one Democrat, not one hardcore black Democrat I know who can sit and explain to me how the Democratic Party has really truly helped black people. I mean, truly dealt with and confronted the legacy and the history of racism and slavery in this country, the legacy of lost wealth, the $14 trillion debt that is owed, the $14 trillion debt that is owed, the $14 trillion debt that is owed, that they won't even talk about. They won't even bring it up in a conversation. You bring it up too much, they're gonna slap your black ass and tell you to shut up. That's what a pimp's supposed to do. So if you want to know what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. I see everybody trying to claim black people because you are a pawn on the board. You're not a chess player, you are a chess piece. You are not a player, you are a piece. And everybody's trying to claim that piece. So at the end of the day, what's my agenda? My agenda is the black agenda. What is the black agenda to me? The black agenda comes down to freedom. What does freedom mean? Freedom means doing what you choose to do without regard to what anybody thinks. What does also freedom include, in my opinion? Freedom includes sovereignty, which means the ability to develop an economic base, also the ability to educate our own children, create our own jobs, support our own businesses, and police our own communities. Very few of these individuals out here that are in this civil war right now that's going to continue to escalate, nobody on the left and very few people, nobody on the right that I can think of, have any incentive whatsoever to support that agenda. Donald Trump, I don't look at him as a savior because that man has no incentive to support the idea of black people creating our own jobs, educating our own children, supporting our own businesses. Why would I expect that from him? Joe Biden has no incentive to help me to do things that are independent from me. The only people that have incentives to create sovereignty for black people are black people. It's like going up to a stranger and saying, you know, I really want to buy myself something nice, and I really want to get myself a house, and I really want to give myself a big income, and I really want to take care of my children and my family or whatever. Who has an incentive to do that other than you? Seriously, what makes you think that the world owes you something, or that people are really going to come through for you and take care of you like you're a baby? That's not going to happen. So for black people, I can tell you as one of your allies, because I'm black like you, right? The greatest interest that you can depend on is self-interest. the most I can really depend on people to do is to do what's best for themselves. So the way I trust you is I don't trust you because I think you're a good person. I don't trust you because I think you owe me something. I don't trust you because I think that you're going to care about my interests more than you care about your own. Only time I trust you is when we have what is called in finance, they call this incentive alignment. Incentive alignment. I trust you to drive the boat properly if we're in the same goddamn boat. If you're in the same boat as me, then I'm going to trust that you're going to do what's right on that boat, not because you want to save my life, but because you want to save your own life. So I trust you to do what is best for you. So that means that when I look at my allies, which would be alliance or alignment, when I'm looking at people that are aligned with me in terms of agenda, I'm looking at individuals who are in the same boat as me. What the fuck does a rich white man who lives in Santa Monica, who teaches at Berkeley, what alignment do we have when I'm a black man dealing with the experience of a black man, and this rich white man is living the white man's life? Like, there is no alignment, right? So for me to claim him to be my ally, and for me not to be able to point to any sort of tangible benefit that he's going to receive by helping me or supporting me, then why would I depend on that support? Why would I depend on that? Why do you think, seriously, why do you think that somebody who has no incentive to help you or to support you or take care of you, who's not affected one way or the other, whether you live or die, what makes you think that person's going to go out of their way to really be there for you, ride or die, no matter what? If you think that these folks care about you, then you about as stupid as a damn brick, and you need to just go away right now and just jump off a damn bridge because apparently your brain cells are not working. So when I look at my allies, I look at people that have a common interest and a consistent common interest. Not just sort of some temporary common interest. I'm talking about people that are going to benefit from the same things I benefit from. So when I think about, again, the black agenda is freedom, which digs over into a related issue, which is establishing an economic base, which also means educating our own children, creating our own jobs, supporting black businesses, and policing our own communities. I don't see a lot of people who are going to benefit from those things happening. A lot of liberals are going to lose a lot of money when black people become free. A lot of liberals are going to lose a lot of money when black people are educating their own children, because they're not putting their children into those public schools with those white teachers who are putting your kids in special ed and getting a big check. A lot of white liberals are going to lose when black people are no longer working for white companies. A lot of white liberals and conservatives are going to lose when black athletes are no longer playing in the NCAA for free. A lot of white liberals and white conservatives are going to lose when black men are not filling up the prisons where them and their cousins can all go get jobs. A lot of white liberals and a lot of white conservatives are going to lose when black people start buying black. So the only people that I really believe have the true incentive to support a really meaningful and relevant black agenda are other black people. So if you with me on this, please say something in the chat so I know I'm not alone, so that we know we're on the same page. And I hope that these ideas help you in your journey in achieving what I want you to achieve, which is understanding. And understanding is not something I can give you. It is not something I'm going to place upon you. It is something that I hope that you will achieve for yourself in a way that is satisfactory to you, because at the end of the day, all you really got is you. All we really have is us. And that's what I believe. And maybe it's the wrong philosophy. I don't know. Maybe having white allies is really the best way to go. But I've never seen any evidence in my life that has proven to me that would be the case. So anyway, guys, thank you for hearing me out. I appreciate that. I'll let you know if I decide to do the CNN thing. I'm really mixed on it. I don't know if I want to deal with those people or not. I don't hate them or anything. I just really don't know. I don't feel good about it, honestly, so I'll probably end up telling them no. I gotta think about it though. But let me go get a nap. Maybe once I wake up I'll have another perspective. So anyway, guys, have a good day. Hit the thumbs up button, and if you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is TheRealBoyceWatkins. So take care, guys. Love you. Thanks for listening once again. I'll talk to you later. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10, 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's